Some of our team recently got to talking about their ideal dinner plates for Thanksgiving itself. Are you into turkey? Are you into ham, mashed potatoes, candied yams, stuffing or dressing? What's the word for it? Here's a look at some of our favorite dishes.
So my ideal Thanksgiving plate is heavy on the stuffing, more stuffing than turkey. Turkey is actually just fine, like not that great. And I love cranberry sauce, but not like the fancy cranberry sauce with actual cranberries. I like the jelly that like comes out of the can in the shape of the can. That's my favorite.
Gotta have turkey, I mean, that's a given. But given our Franco-Caribbean background in our house, we have a couple of other dishes that are excellent to our home. First of all, my mom makes a lovely seafood quiche. Gotta have the seafood quiche. And she makes her stuffing with ground beef, pork, and sausage. I've never had stuffing like that anywhere else. And finally, we have a couple of Haitian dishes, Juliette Donjo, which is rice with black mushrooms, and griot, fried pork chunks.
Turkey. Even though I feel like it's overrated, you gotta have it on there. And if you're making dry turkey, you belong in jail. Candied ham. I don't rock with ham year round, but you gotta get it. After that, a little mac and cheese, some yams, greens, and maybe green beans. Stuffing, I'll put it on the side with a little gravy on top. That's my plate. And I don't like everything touching either.
By far, my favorite dish is dressing. I've always called it dressing. Some people call it stuffing, but I call it dressing. What's on the plate? Turkey, dressing, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes or candied yams, macaroni and cheese. Gotta have some greenies, so I guess green beans. I like this thing called corn pudding. And you also have to have the cranberry sauce.
What is your ideal Thanksgiving plate made of?
I would say mashed potatoes, followed by mashed potatoes with a little mashed potatoes on the side and butter.
So you're saying you like mashed potatoes?
Yeah, I stand by that, and in particular the butter, which is kind of an illicit item. Katie wants all the Thanksgiving things made without butter. She's kind of butter sensitive for health reasons, and so
You have a butter stash?
I have a butter stash. I bring out my own plate of butter and I put it in the mashed potatoes, and it's so good.
Oh, that's delicious. Yeah. I like mashed potatoes, but like, I won't go out of my way for mashed potatoes. Maybe I need to have your mashed potatoes.
What's up with this cranberry sauce?
Cranberry sauce, man. The jiggly kind. So good. Have you had it? No.
What?
You make the fancy kind, I'm sure.
No, I don't make any kind. I'm like
no cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving?
None. We have a list of like 400 ingredients for. I'm cooking for 16 with 2 other people and 11 kids, and no cranberry sauce. We are not doing it.
Okay. I
may
may have to rethink this job next to you here, Tony.
Okay. Now to our series, The Dish Recipe. It's a spin-off of our James Beard Award-winning series, The Dish, where we focus on just one easy-to-follow recipe. And today, our friends at New York Times Cooking share a classic Thanksgiving stuffing with a twist.
Good morning. My name is Eric Kim. I'm a cooking columnist for the New York Times. Today, I'm going to show you one of my favorite dishes to eat, Thanksgiving stuffing. The ingredients you need for the dish are crusty white bread, cornbread, fresh sage, unsalted butter, fennel seeds, salt-free poultry seasoning, cayenne, yellow onion, celery, and whole milk. The first step is to take your bread, cube it up. You want about 6 cups of white bread, like a sourdough works really well. And then cornbread, because it adds sweetness. So 3 cups also goes into this sheet pan. This just needs to go in a 350-degree oven for about 20 minutes. You're just trying to dry it out. I think fresh sage is just a beautiful ingredient. For me, this is the flavor of Thanksgiving. So melt butter in a pan. It's just half a cup. So we're gonna fry whole sage leaves in this butter, but we're also going to saute some chopped sage leaves with onions. Okay, that's ready for us. And now that the butter is popping a little bit, this is my favorite part. Just fry them for 2 to 4 minutes until they start to change color. Take a paper towel, dip it in the butter carefully, and you're gonna use that paper towel to grease your pan. That's ready for the stuffing later. I'm gonna take the same paper towel, and as these start to drain and cool, they will get really crispy. Now that the sage is fried, I'm going to chop the onion and the celery. I like a nice dice. You just need 2 stalks of these. And what I'm going to do now is make sure the heat is on. I'm going to add a tablespoon of fennel seeds to the fat. Also, salt-free poultry seasoning. About a teaspoon of that is going in the fat as well. The final ingredient is cayenne pepper. Cayenne doesn't just add heat, it adds flavor. Now I'm going to add the chopped sage to this, okay? My favorite kitchen utensil is bench scraper. Such a good tool to get a bunch of onion at once. You know that onions are ready when you start to see that they gain a shiny, glistening kind of quality. Now you're gonna add the celery. You're not trying to soften the celery too much. You're just trying to get that raw edge off. I'm gonna season this with a little salt. So now we're just gonna add 2 cups of whole milk. We're just bringing it to temperature. Now it's ready to be poured all over the bread. It should be wet. It should have a little bit of that, milky gravy on the bottom. If it's dry, add more milk. Just add this to the baking dish now. We're gonna bump the oven up to 375 degrees and bake this covered for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then uncover it and finish baking it for about 10 more minutes. The last step is to top it with our fried sage leaves. Okay, I'm gonna dig in. Oh my God, that's so good. This stuffing is imbued with all of those classic Thanksgiving flavors that make this time of year so special. Happy Thanksgiving.
Dressing is my favorite thing. I've never seen milk in it, so I'm curious about that. I want to taste that. It makes it look so easy.
Dressing or stuffing?
Both. I always call it dressing.
Hey, now to our series, The Dish Recipe, a spin-off of our James Beard award-winning series, The Dish, where we focus on just one easy-to-follow recipe. And today, our friends at New York Times Cooking share a recipe that will turn fussy anti-broccoli people into broccoli lovers. This is a guarantee, I'm told. This recipe is ready in under 20 minutes. Be on the table quickly, and it adds a delicious complexity to the humble head of broccoli.
Good morning. I'm Sola El-Whaley, cookbook author and contributor to NYT Cooking, and I'm going to show you how to make broccoli with sizzled nuts and dates. The ingredients you need to make the dish are assorted nuts and seeds like pecans, pepitas, or cashews, medjool dates, lemon, and broccoli. I'm gonna start by making the nut topping. You can use any combo of nuts and seeds and really rough chop. Here I've got a mix of pepitas, pecans, and cashews. It's my favorite combo for this. Now I'm using raw nuts, so I'm gonna fry it up in a little bit of oil. I love toasting nuts in fat like this because it's going to flavor the oil. So the nuts are gonna toast for about 3 to 5 minutes. I'm gonna get in there and stir it occasionally. And while that happens, I'm gonna prep my broccoli. Make sure you really, really thoroughly dry your broccoli or any vegetable that you wanna get brown, because if it is wet, especially the florets can hold on to a lot of moisture. So we're gonna break this down. You should eat your stems, it has so much flavor. It can be a little tough, so just use a peeler to remove some of that. Now I'm gonna cut this into spears. So I like to kind of let the broccoli be the guide, yeah? Whoa. Make a little slit at the stem and just kind of pull it apart. So I can smell this, my pepitas are popping. We know that they're nice and toasty. I'm gonna add some dates. I like tearing it because the little coarse edges get extra caramelized. And these are already pitted, but if yours aren't pitted, just pull out the pits. So I'm gonna season this really aggressively with salt. Nuts can really take it. And I'm gonna add my torn dates and my black pepper. This is cracked black pepper. There's kind of a lot of it in there. And that's good. I'm gonna kill the heat and finish it with a squeeze of lemon juice, just to balance everything else. Now my topping's ready to go, and all we gotta do is finish our broccoli. So I'm gonna pop this under the broiler. You wanna get it ripping hot. Now, while that heats up, I'm gonna coat my broccoli in oil. And you wanna take your time to really massage the oil onto it. Make sure like every single nook and cranny is evenly coated in fat, because that fat is gonna help distribute the heat. I'm gonna season this evenly with kosher salt. All right, so my tray has been in the broiler for a few minutes. You wanna move quickly so you don't lose that heat. Try and arrange the broccoli in one even layer. Hear that sizzle? It's already started to cook. And now we're gonna head right back under the broiler. Keep an eye on this because it's gonna go really fast. So it's been about 5 minutes. Wow, that looks so green. To finish this up, I'm just gonna pop it on a plate and top it with our nut topping. Huh? I think that looks great. Normally, I eat this whole plate for dinner by myself. This is the whole dinner. There's no rice, there's no chicken. There's so much going on here. We get crunchy broccoli, crunchy nuts, chewy dates. The pepper really hits you in the face. A little bit of lemon perking everything up. It's so good. Broccoli's great, guys. Not boring. Eat more broccoli.
And today, our friend J.M. Hirsch shares an autumn cocktail that leans into the season of pumpkin spice. The recipe is from Hirsch's new book, Freezer Door Cocktails. Ain't that a lifestyle? It's a collection of ready-to-pour drinks that you can keep in your freezer. This pumpkin spice martini is fall in a glass. It is sweet, it is strong, it is topped off with a dash of fresh apple cider.
Good morning, I'm J.M. Hirsch, editorial director at Milk Street and author of Freezer Door Cocktails. It's that time of year again. We're gonna make a pumpkin spice martini. The ingredients you need for this recipe are bourbon, agave or simple syrup, pumpkin pie spice, orange bitters, chocolate bitters, and fresh apple cider. Now this is a 750 milliliter bottle of bourbon, and we are going to pour off 6 ounces of that. Save this, make yourself a Manhattan later, you deserve it. We have our 19 ounces of bourbon left in the bottle. Grab a funnel. Now, we're gonna add 2 ounces of water, and that dilution is important because it opens up the flavors of the cocktail and lets us appreciate the nuances of it. We're also gonna add 2 ounces of agave or simple syrup. This is to give it just a hint of sweetness. There we go. Now, the star ingredient, of course, pumpkin pie spice. All you need is a generous pinch in the bottle. You don't want to go more than that, and there's a really good reason for that. Alcohol, like fat, is a really good conveyor of flavor. So a little bit goes a long way, and if you put too much pumpkin pie spice in, you're gonna just overwhelm the cocktail. Finally, we're going to add 2 varieties of cocktail bitters. Now, cocktail bitters are kind of the salt of the cocktail world. They add a kind of a balancing bitterness to otherwise sweet cocktails. So we're gonna add about a 1/4 teaspoon of orange bitters and a 1/4 teaspoon of chocolate bitters. It's gonna give you that rich autumnal flavor. So good. But be careful, don't add more than that because they can be a little bit overwhelming. That's it. We're gonna cork it, give it a very good shake. Then you can put this in the freezer. Let it chill for a few hours. It's perfect to pour. After a couple of hours, our pumpkin spice martini, perfectly frosty, ready to pour. That's a happy sound. All right, you're gonna take your coupe and you're going to fill it generously, but not all the way, because we want to top it with just maybe an ounce or 2 of fresh apple cider to give it again a secondary note of that autumnal goodness that we want. Oh my God, I'm ready to go apple picking. That's amazing. It is sweet, but not too sweet. And this is perfectly balanced. You've got the spice of the bourbon, the heat of the bourbon. You've got the orange and chocolate notes, which play so well together. And you've got that pumpkin pie spice, which is just, makes us all very happy. So cheers to the season.
You're having that this evening, right?
I don't know. I'm not a pumpkin spice guy, and I can't drink on a weekday, actually. I won't get up in the morning. I love James Hirsch. He loves his cocktails, and the whole freezer door cocktail idea sounds like a Jimmy Buffett song, the late Jimmy Buffett, so I'm into it.
Gayle, I'll have
you,
a drink
Nate?
on the weekday.
Okay. I was just going to say, Nate, you can't drink during the week because, what?
We get up at 4 or something in the morning. I get up at 4:15
How much drinking are you doing, Tony? Isn't it just a little drink?
Just a little taste.
Yeah.
All 17 ounces. I can't make a triple serving like that. I was just kidding.
Oh, man.
Today, a special Thanksgiving edition of The Dish with chef, cookbook author, philanthropist, and host Andrew Zimmern. With his versatile cooking and made-for-TV persona, Zimmern has earned worldwide recognition as one of the top celebrity chefs in the field. 4 James Beard Awards and an Emmy highlight decades of work in the industry and on camera. But when it comes to Thanksgiving, Zimmern takes time to reflect on both the highs and lows, including an attempt to take his own life. His past struggles, a constant reminder of what the holiday is truly about.
Usually when people come into my house, one of the first things that I want to do is feed them, like right away, like immediately.
I have nothing against that.
So we like entertaining that way. And I find that if you sort of create that emotional transaction right away with your guest, it's a very, very powerful way to communicate without using words.
Which is exactly what Chef Andrew Zimmern did as he welcomed me to his home for an early Thanksgiving. Starting with appetizers at the hearth. An oyster stew kept warm over the fire.
It's delicious.
Paired with a homemade flatbread with roasted mushrooms, pistachio pesto, mortadella, and ricotta.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. If you had just had the pesto just with the bread, I would have been okay. Spectacular.
Zimmern fell in love with food as a kid, developing his palate traveling the world with his father, his instincts cooking with his grandmother. As for his love of Thanksgiving, once you sit at Zimmern's holiday table, you quickly realize it goes deeper than the food. It's about gratitude.
This holiday seems meant for you in what I know of your story, of when you got sober and dedicating your life to helping others.
The catalyst, and it goes back to Thanksgiving 1990 and Thanksgiving 1991, I waited online and got Thanksgiving at one time at a shelter and another time at the Salvation Army.
A long road from his early days in New York, cooking under the likes of Thomas Keller. While his career was on the rise, his personal life was in a downward spiral. In January 1992, homeless and addicted, Zimmern hit rock bottom.
I tried to kill myself in a flophouse hotel.
Tried to drink yourself?
Well, I tried to drink myself to death and eat a lot of barbiturates, and it should have worked. And I woke up undead. And I called a friend and asked for help, and he came and got me. And 4 days later, I had a one-way ticket to Hazelden in Minnesota and was able to start this sobriety that is now 32 and a half years long. But I remember that feeling of hopelessness and despair so vividly, and I try never, ever to forget that.
And what makes him uniquely qualified for his extensive philanthropic work, focusing on charities that help the unhoused, addicted, and hungry.
What I need people to be aware of is that drunk, homeless person who you're stepping over in the subway, that person you're trying to avoid is someone's son, husband, friend, And when we sprinkle other human beings with dignity and respect, incredible things happen.
Once Zimmern got sober in Minnesota, he began rebuilding his life and his culinary footprint there. It remains home today, where we shared our traditional Thanksgiving meal.
Are you a dark person, a light person?
I'm a light person. I like the white meat.
Fantastic. And who doesn't love
Right, I know.
that crispy skin?
A golden roasted turkey with a chestnut stuffing.
Not to second the turkey, but you're right, this gravy.
I literally took a bite of, got a little stuffing flavor in there, and I'm 5 years old, and I'm standing next to my dad, and he's carving one of those 30-pound behemoths that no one should cook.
Right.
You know, when the little plastic thing went boop, it was ready.
Zimmern aware that when it comes to food at Thanksgiving, the best bites evoke a memory or an emotion. In some cases, both.
It's a very, very special day to create a lot of dishes, and I want to ping the memories of other people at the table, so it's not just about me.
Be it with a cranberry sauce or a newer recipe like his whipped sweet potato with goat butter and smoked brown sugar.
This is,
Oh, this looks beautiful.
I think it's really quite amazing. I heat it up and then I let it roast in the oven until it gets that sort of bruleed finish to it.
There's even the combination of new and old, putting his spin on the traditional green bean casserole with layers of beans, mushroom, and crispy onions.
This is all fabulous.
It is good, and you get just enough of that mushroom. It doesn't dominate it. The sauce just coats it.
I love it. No, like as not, love it. And you were worried I had had too much sitting by the fire earlier. There's plenty of room. Plenty of room.
Including for dessert. Not one, but 3 pies. Pumpkin, pecan, and apple.
This pumpkin is also phenomenal.
As Zimmern shared a few more stories with those final bites, we reflected back to the gratitude that brought him here.
When I hear you talk about being homeless, addiction, I also wonder, do you think you'd be the person that you are today if you hadn't?
Not at all. And I am keenly aware, I keep working on myself and working on myself. The fact of the matter is that I have been inspired by millions of men and women who came before me. Some who are not addicts or alcoholics, who have given me the recipe for how to live a life that is joyous or free to the degree that I deserve to be that way. I just love what I do so much. I never want to stop doing it. I hope my last day is actually in the saddle. I hope I'm cooking a meal for someone and they eat it before they call someone and say, he's no longer with us. But man, oh man, was that fish fantastic.
What a great thought about when the end does come. So I have to say thank you to the Little Pie Company who got some pies for us, which you've already finished because this is his point. The flavors you have, that memory that they evoke, not just that you're hungry, but your sweet potato pie has a memory for you at Thanksgiving. My apple pie has a memory for me.
Gone in like 60 seconds for breakfast.
Yeah.
But I mean,
when you're eating, remember his message of gratitude this holiday time because he certainly has it for what he's been through and what he continues to do for others.
I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you, Boo.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too. Eat a lot of pie.